What happened, Jamie? Wait, what?
I just...
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Pass me, Joe. Pass me.
Goofy. Murder! Goofy.
Whoa!
Yo, what is up, guys? It is Hunter, and I am back with another F1 2020 video. Hopefully soon enough we're saying F1 2021 video, and I'm driving in an Aston Martin, but we'll see. Anyway, we've got round 3 of ROR, and it is Brazil, the almighty Brazil, Interlagos, and it, as you can see, it's raining. So qualifying is gonna be intermediates, but it was all intermediates. There wasn't any dry, but the race is going to be completely dry, so there's no need to worry about the wet weather in the race. But honestly, the way that I was driving in qualifying, maybe I did want it, because I wasn't racing too bad, especially by my previous performances in the rain. This is pretty decent for me. I think I qualify in P3, so while a couple people jump me while I'm on this final lap, that doesn't last too long for them. J-Mick improves as well as I improve. So yeah, I also want to take a second because last video was pretty bad quality, and I'm still not too exactly sure why the whole video was bad quality. I knew that the USA race was not gonna be great. I lost that recording file and then had to download it off YouTube, so I knew that that one was gonna be meh quality, and it's part of the reason why I didn't show much of the race. But for France to be in such poor quality as well, I didn't know why that was happening. After re-rendering like 4 or 5 times, I couldn't figure that out, so I apologize. That definitely shouldn't happen with this video or any video in the future. But yeah, moving forward, obviously we have the fresh choice of tires, so I don't know if this was necessarily a mistake when I was making it, but we decided to go soft medium instead of medium soft, which I think everybody in the top 5 was choosing to do, which was probably the smart route to go, if I'm being honest. But we go the opposite of literally everybody in the top 5. I'm not too sure who was on softs in the top 5, but I know that, or in the top 10 even, but I know that I was probably one of very, very few. But anyway, maybe we'll be able to get it, a good start and see where it goes. 5 lights, we're finally away. Well, not yet, now we're away. J-Mick gets an absolutely amazing start. He's already honestly ahead of Azure before they even start turning. Azure hits the back of J-Mick, and that kind of forces him into me. We both lose a little bit of time, but we all stay in our positions. Azure unfortunately loses P1 on turn 1, but they're going to continue to fight, as we were going to see later on in this lap. And for this race, I know that UNF1, when we raced here, was a really good race as well. Had a great comeback in it when I got belted in lap, whatever it was, lap 1 it might have been. But this was a barn burner for sure, for other reasons. So getting into this race, man, yeah, I don't think anybody expected this to be as good of a race as it was, but at the same time, this is the type of racing that Brazil can produce. It was so close on the dry. I feel like if we did get a dry qualifying, it probably would have been maybe a second between the top 10, so it would have been really, really close racing, I think. But as you guys can see ahead of us, Azure and J-Mick still battling. Azure is going super offensive, going on the inside. J-Mick trying to squeeze him a little bit. Azure does have the position for now, goes a little bit deep, but I think he's able to keep it. J-Mick gets a god run though, honestly. Has to kind of avoid the back left tire of Azure, but honestly they're just going side by side, so I think that's the one. Oh, and Azure does make it through cleanly, but that was, I think, the one reason we stayed on board. Nothing really happened with me. I just found their battle interesting. But here on lap 3, I make a very, very, very bad error, almost sending Azure to the Shadow Realm along with myself. Luckily, we don't get any damage, but we end up losing 5 positions just from a little tap. And unfortunately, we were turning, so if you're turning and spinning, no TC. It almost felt like I hit him in the side pod. I couldn't save that for some reason. That was a weird spin. I just didn't expect that to necessarily take me into the grass. But we know from here on out that we have to be very, very, very aggressive. A lot of these boys are now on softs, so we realize that the boys in the top 5 pick mediums. Meanwhile, the guys in the top 6 weren't necessarily trying to be on that same strategy. So Bio ends up making contact with, I think it's a Williams. I can't tell completely. The preview screen isn't the best quality, but Bio nonetheless is right in front of us, so we're gonna try to possibly use our DRS, but obviously we're in a huge DRS train. I think maybe a 7 or 8 car DRS train, and we try to put our nose in here. We're too close on the inside. He squeezes us a little bit, so we have to pull out of that position. Luckily, he does not get the best of exits, so we're going to be able to attack right after. We're going to go side by side once again, and leave him just enough space. I thought I had the move done, but he pulls back around yet again. We're almost tapping tires, and basically I just tried to send it into this turn because that's a very hard place. But again, he's on my inside right. We don't leave any space, honestly, this time, so he has to pull out of that position. And finally, that battle is done, but we still got a lot of work to do. We've got like 5 cars ahead of us that I think we know we're probably not a lot quicker, but at least a little bit quicker than, so we don't want to be in this huge train. And that's why you see me using so much ERS, more ERS than I'm really wanting to at this point. We're already down to near 20%, and that's just not a good place to be at lap 4. But as you see, Vapor also possibly using the slipstream ahead of him and some ERS also with the DRS. As you see, 4 cars within under a tenth of each other, it looks like, but Vapor makes a subtle mistake going wide, and we're gonna try to make a move, but we get boxed in by Groovy. I think he knew that he didn't want me coming in from the inside. I would have sent it on both of them. We hit the side pod of Vapor, and again this pushes us back into Bio's grasp, and we're side by side still, leaving him space, but we're still not able to confirm this position. We just send it here. I think we do make contact. He hits my side pod, but we're gonna have to just roll with it. And the Ferrari, again, we're side by side with Vapor. We decide to give him the position, but making another slight contact into the back of Vapor. But it's absolute chaos in this midfield pack right now. Vapor going deep as we try to get a good run out of the last corner into the long straight, but Vapor as well, he's already pulling away from me, and honestly he gets just as good of an exit. We turn off the DRS, or the ERS I mean, and we just basically make sure we can't get overtaken again by Bio, as the guys in front of us go side by side, and we hit the grass and it slides us straight into the back of Groovy. And that, at that point, I was gutted. I was so gutted, and I wasn't raging. I know I've had a lot of raging moments last season, but I wasn't raging this time. I was just disappointed because I knew that situation could have been prevented. Groovy comes in the pits because he had damage from hitting Total Carney. So lap 7, we are putting on the hards. As you guys know, if you guys have ever raced a 50%er at Brazil, those hard tires can last the whole race, but you've got to have some pretty damn good tire management. So even though we got them on at lap 6, it's gonna still be a struggle getting good points with these hards. So we've got a lot of work to do. On lap 25, we skipped forward a lot of laps. Nothing really happened. It was just me chugging along, putting in laps. But we get behind Gelfi, and this situation honestly saves our race. We were able to stick in his DRS for nearly 4 laps, 5 laps, I think. It felt like an eternity where I was just chilling behind him in his DRS, and he was allowing it. And I don't think he thought that I would be a problem, and I didn't think I would be a problem either. But you can see getting into turn 1, I'm very close to him, and coming out of the turn 1 and 2, I'm still pretty close, and the DRS is just gonna help me get even closer. I don't even have to really use any ERS, and we hop out of the slipstream and just honestly go for it. We're still a little bit side by side. He's on my back right tire, but that's position made, and you guys are gonna see that in a few seconds or in a few minutes we have yet another savior. Honestly, this race was just full of saviors for me, because starting in P3 and getting back to even P6 where we are now was so lucky because of the players that are in here. We end up on lap 32 getting into the DRS of Joe, who I believe is a lap down. So this was absolutely huge. My tires, as you see, are at 60%, 65% on the front right, as we get a safety car on lap 33, the very last lap possible, as the Merc literally flies over me. I get Leclerc, and on lap 34, it's already coming in. We haven't even caught the pack yet, but we're not too far off the pack. The pack is literally just at the middle point of the straight, and they're probably hitting the limiter right now as we speak. Underrated just came out of the pits to get his 5 seconds removed from speeding in the pits earlier, but you can see we have caught the pack. We have caught the pack just due to Constantine effects, however you say that word, that long word. We've basically caught the pack. A little bit of ERS, and we're going to be within the second that we need, even though we are on these old hard tires that are just probably not fit for good racing, as Bio just absolutely sends it into the wall. Unfortunately, that green tarp astroturf on the edge of the track isn't as grippy as you think, but still, we're going along, we're chugging along, somehow in the top 5 yet again, and we're still just trying to stay at the back of Carney and keep Gelfie behind us, who's on the not fresh, but on the soft tires, which is still, at this point, should be feeling rather decent. But there's just nothing Gelfie could do at this point. There's really nothing he could do. By the time that we are getting around these corners, I've already used so much of my ERS, and by the time we get around turn 1, I'm going to be back into the 7/10ths that I need to be within to get a slipstream. So there was nothing Gelfie could have really done on those softs, and at the same time, I'm kind of pulling away from him. It goes from 7/10ths to 8/10ths, and soon I think it might be a second. So going into the last lap, I was more than happy. Also seeing Underrated, I was more than happy with taking home a P4, I think is the top position I thought I would get. I didn't see what the penalties were like in P2 and P1, so it was really just a waiting game. But this race was absolutely insane. The fact that I was able to still put on those hards on lap 6 and get so fortunate enough to catch the DRS of Gelfie for God knows how many laps, 6 laps I think, I don't know, and then to catch the DRS of Joe so I could then defend against Gelfie then attacking me again. It was super lucky as we finished the line and we cross in P3. Now unfortunately that won't stick. Nat ended up having one of his penalties taken away after the steward's decision was made. It was a 5-second penalty, pit lane penalty, pit limiter unengaged after he engaged it or something like that, some weird glitch. So he does get P3, but I am perfectly happy with P4 in this situation. I think it would have been a really good battle up front with the boys, but I can't really complain when I think about the race from kind of a grand perspective. So I hope you guys really did enjoy this video. Make sure you guys leave a like, comment, and subscribe, please, please, please. Here are the standings, drivers and constructors. We'll be back here soon. RORs next week, and I'm sure I'll have another video for you guys this week as well. So I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Peace, y'all.